Sometimes the most dangerous place you'll ever be is not in a dark alley, not in a broken relationship, not even in a storm you didn't see coming. It's inside your own mind when your thoughts have decided to run the show. You know what I mean? That moment when you wake up with the best intentions, ready to take on the day, and then one single thought slides in like an uninvited guest and changes the entire atmosphere. One thought that whispers, "You're not enough. You're not ready. You can't do it." And before you know it, you're not just hearing it, you're entertaining it, feeding it, agreeing with it. That's how the spiral starts. That's how you hand over the steering wheel of your life without even realizing you've done it. You can't keep letting your thoughts boss you around like they're the landlord of your mind and you're just paying rent. Your thoughts are powerful, but they are not your master. You were given the authority to choose which thoughts get to live in your head and which ones have to be evicted immediately. But here's the thing, most of us don't act like landlords of our minds. We act like tenants. We let worry, insecurity, and fear move in rent, free rearrange the furniture and tell us what the view is. And the worst part is, they're lying to us while we hand them the keys. The first step to mastering your mind is realizing you are not your thoughts. Just because something passes through your head doesn't mean it's true. And it sure doesn't mean it belongs to you. You have to separate the noise from the truth. But separating them takes courage because the lies will come dressed in the clothing of your past, wearing the scent of something familiar. And if you're not careful, you'll keep letting them in simply because they feel like home. Here's the part no one likes to admit. Some of us are more comfortable living under the control of our thoughts because it feels easier than fighting them. It feels easier to believe the fear than to confront it. Easier to believe the shame than to challenge it. But easy won't give you freedom. Easy won't help you grow. Easy won't lead you into the life you were created for. Freedom begins the moment you decide you're no longer taking orders from a thought that wants to see you lose. You have to talk back. Yes, I said it. Talk back. You've been listening to yourself long enough. Now it's time to start speaking to yourself. When that thought tells you, you can't handle this, you have to be bold enough to say, watch me. When it says, you're not worthy, you respond, I was chosen for this. When it says, you'll never make it out, you declare, I am already on my way. Because your mind will believe the loudest voice it hears. And if you don't make your voice louder than your doubt will always win. But don't get it twisted. This is not about pretending bad thoughts don't exist. This is about deciding who gets the final word. Negative thoughts will still knock at your door. Fear will still try to make a home in you. But when you stand in authority over your mind, you have the power to say, not today, not here, not in me. That's not denial. That's discipline. Think of your mind like a garden. If you don't plant seeds on purpose, weeds will take over. Those weeds, those anxious, fearful, bitter thoughts don't need your permission to grow. They just need your neglect. And if you neglect the work of guarding your mind, you'll wake up one day surrounded by something you never meant to grow. So plant on purpose, plant gratitude, plant vision, plant peace. And when something tries to grow that doesn't match the life you're building, pull it up from the root before it gets comfortable. And let me tell you, this is not a one-time job. You don't get to evict one bad thought and think the job is done. You've got to keep showing up every single day like it's a battle, because it is. You can't be passive when it comes to the atmosphere of your mind. You can't just let the wind decide where your thoughts go. If you want peace, you have to fight for it. If you want clarity, you have to defend it. If you want strength, you have to train your mind for it. So the next time your thoughts try to take over, I need you to remember this. You are not the victim here. You are the authority. You are not at the mercy of your mind. Your mind is at the mercy of you. Stop letting it drag you into places you were never meant to dwell. Stand up, take the wheel, and tell your thoughts where you're going. Because the moment you stop letting your thoughts boss you around is the moment you finally start leading your life. Not everything and everyone deserves a front row seat to your mind. Your thoughts are the control center of your life. And if you're not careful about who and what you let in, you'll end up with a mental space that feels more like a chaotic marketplace than a sanctuary. You've got to understand, your mind is not public property. It's not a train station where any passing idea, opinion, or memory can just stop by, unpack, and settle in. You are the gatekeeper, and your first responsibility is to protect that gate. Some of us have been living with open doors for too long. We've allowed people's words to sit inside our minds long after their mouths have gone silent. A stray comment from years ago still plays on repeat. A doubt someone planted in your teenage years is still producing fruit in your adult life. Not because it was true, but because you didn't stop it from taking root. Every unfiltered word you absorb becomes another brick in the house your mind is building. And you've got to decide if that's the house you want to live in. You have to ask yourself, what am I letting in? Who has the password to my peace? Whose voice do I hear when I'm alone in the dark? If you can't answer those questions with intention, then you're probably living with thoughts and influences you never consciously chose. And here's the truth, what you don't guard will eventually own you. Protecting your mental gate doesn't mean you shut yourself off from the world. It doesn't mean you never listen to correction or hear a new perspective. It means you develop the discernment to know what is life-giving and what is poison, and you refuse to let poison sit on your table just because it was served politely. Some people will bring you words wrapped in concern, but dripping with fear. Some will hand you advice rooted in their own limitations, not your potential. And if you don't guard your mind, you'll start making their ceilings your limits. It's not just people you have to guard against. It's what you feed your mind when no one's watching. The music you keep on repeat, the shows you binge, the conversations you entertain, the scrolling you justify, it all seeps in. The mind doesn't have a just for fun folder. Everything you feed it becomes part of its library. And when you're under pressure, it will pull from whatever you've stored. That's why some of us fall apart so quickly when life gets heavy, because we've been feeding on mental junk food. And when we need strength, all we've got stored is noise. You've got to make it a practice to guard what enters. That means setting boundaries with people who use your mind as a dumping ground for their problems, but never bring solutions. It means stepping back from media that makes you anxious, bitter, or small. It means checking the temperature of your environment and asking, does this make my mind sharper or duller? Does this bring me closer to peace or pull me into chaos? And if the answer isn't good, you have permission to close the gate. And let's be real, sometimes the hardest thing to guard against is your own past. Memories that replay themselves like a movie you didn't ask to see. Regrets that whisper in the night. Moments where you wish you had said something different, done something different, been someone different. But here's what I've learned. You cannot keep giving the past a key to your present. If you let it in every time it knocks, it will unpack in your mind and sit in the very space your future was meant to grow. Protecting your mind takes daily discipline. You can't check the locks once and walk away. You've got to be intentional, because negativity doesn't knock politely. It slips in quietly while you're distracted. And sometimes you've got to have the courage to change the locks entirely. That might mean rethinking relationships, rewriting your inner script, and retraining your default responses. The truth is, not everyone who smiles at you should have access to your mental world, and not every thought that arrives should be given the dignity of a seat. Your mind is the soil for everything you'll ever do in life. If you don't guard it, someone else will plant in it. And if you let the wrong things grow there, they will eventually choke out your vision, your confidence, and your peace. So you guard it like it's priceless, because it is. You guard it even if people call you distant. You guard it even if it means walking away from what's familiar, because your future will be built with the materials you allow into your mind today. And you can't afford to construct your tomorrow with scraps that were never meant for you before it hears anyone else. Long before the world gets a chance to speak into your life, your inner voice has already been narrating the story you believe. And for some of us, that voice has been tearing us down so long we don't even notice it anymore. It's like background noise, always there, always critical, always finding a reason why we're not enough. But here's the thing, your life will rise or fall to the level of the conversation you have with yourself. If your inner voice is toxic, your outer world will eventually match it. We talk so much about speaking life to others, encouraging people when they're down, cheering them on when they're about to give up. But how often do we extend that same grace to ourselves? We'll pour out encouragement until we're empty for everyone else. And then, when it's our turn, we feed ourselves scraps. We let that inner voice drag up our mistakes, magnify our flaws, and discount our victories. And the dangerous part, we start to believe it. Some of us learned that voice from the people who raised us, from environments that taught us to be small, from experiences that told us to stop expecting too much from life. Others developed it from comparison, scrolling through highlight reels until we convinced ourselves we're behind, we're lacking, we're failing. But no matter how it got there, if you don't take control of it, it will run your life without your permission. You have to retrain that voice. And retraining it isn't about faking confidence or pretending you don't struggle. It's about telling yourself the truth even when the lies feel more familiar. The truth that you are more than what you've been through. The truth that you have survived every single day you thought would break you. The truth that you are capable, worthy, and in process. That's not arrogance, that's alignment. Think about it. If someone followed you around all day and said out loud the things you silently say to yourself, would you call them a friend? Would you let them stay in your life? Or would you cut them off for being cruel, negative, and unhelpful? Yet, somehow, we let our own voice do that to us daily without protest. We've got to stop being loyal to the voice that's trying to kill our confidence. The words you speak to yourself are seeds, and the more you speak them, the deeper they grow. If you constantly say, I can't, you will start avoiding opportunities without even realizing it. If you keep saying, I'm not enough, you'll settle for less than you deserve because you've already disqualified yourself in your mind. But if you start planting, I am equipped, I am learning, I am growing, those words will shape your decisions, your actions, and eventually your reality. Now, I'm not saying you'll believe it instantly. When you first start speaking life to yourself, it will feel awkward. It will feel forced. Your old voice will try to fight back, but you've got to be consistent. You've got to keep showing up for that inner conversation until your new voice gets louder than your old one. Because the truth is, you will never silence every negative thought forever, but you can drown it out with truth. You also have to understand the difference between acknowledging where you are and condemning yourself for it. You can say, I made a mistake without saying, I am a mistake. You can admit, I have room to grow without saying, I'm worthless. The first invites growth. The second kills it. The way you talk to yourself will determine whether you bounce back from a setback or stay stuck in it. And don't wait until you feel like speaking life. Do it when you least feel like it. That's when you need it the most. When you've just failed, when you've been rejected, when you've been overlooked, that's when your inner voice has the most power to either pull you deeper into the dark or lead you back into the light. Train it now so when the pressure comes, it's ready to fight for you, not against you. Because here's the reality, the world will have plenty to say about you. Some of it good, some of it cruel, and some of it completely wrong. But the loudest voice you will ever hear is the one inside your own head. If you don't take the time to teach it how to speak life, it will keep repeating the lies it's been fed. So you make a decision starting now that your inner voice will be your ally, not your enemy. That it will remind you of your value, not your flaws. That it will speak hope over fear and possibility over limitation. Because if your mind is going to be the place you live every day for the rest of your life, you might as well make it a place worth living in. The world will hand you 1,000 things to think about before your feet even hit the floor in the morning. Your phone will light up with news, messages, reminders, notifications, each one pulling at your attention like it's the most urgent thing in the world. Your mind becomes like a crowded street corner, voices coming from every direction, each one demanding you stop and listen. And if you're not careful, you'll spend your entire day reacting instead of leading, consumed by everything except the things that actually matter. Mastering your mind means choosing focus over frenzy. It means deciding before the noise starts what gets to matter today. Because the truth is, you can think about 100 things and move nowhere, or you can think about the right few things and make progress that changes everything. But you don't stumble into focus. It's a choice you make over and over again, especially when distractions look harmless. Distractions rarely show up wearing a sign that says, "I'm here to waste your time." They come disguised as urgency, as responsibility, even as opportunity. You get pulled into conversations that have no destination, projects that don't align with your purpose, arguments that drain your energy but add nothing to your growth. And before you know it, you've given your best mental energy to the least important things. That's the cost of frenzy. You pay it with your peace, your productivity, and your progress. Some of us confuse business with purpose. We think that if we're always thinking, always moving, always juggling, we must be doing something meaningful. But business is not the same as fruitfulness. You can fill your calendar, pack your mind, and still end the day empty because nothing you focused on actually fed your future. And that's why choosing focus is hard, because it forces you to say no to things that look important but aren't essential. You've got to start asking yourself, does this deserve my attention, or is it just demanding it? Those are two very different things. Just because something is loud doesn't mean it's valuable. Just because something feels urgent doesn't mean it's worth the mental space it's taking up. And just because something is happening right now doesn't mean it belongs at the center of your mind. When you choose focus, you also choose to let some things go unfinished, some voices go unanswered, and some opportunities pass you by. And that's uncomfortable, but that discomfort is nothing compared to the regret of realizing you've been building a life around things that don't matter. You can't think clearly if your mind is constantly pulled in 10 different directions. Focus means training your thoughts to come home, to gather around the main thing, to protect your energy for what truly aligns with your calling. And let me tell you something, focus is a fight. You will not just wake up one day in a quiet, orderly mind. The frenzy will come for you every single day, and some days it will feel like it's winning. You'll have moments when you're halfway into a task before you realize your thoughts have wandered into anxiety about the future or regret about the past. That's okay. The key is catching it early, pulling your mind back, and reminding yourself, we're not going there right now. We have work to do here. When you get good at focus, you start living more intentionally. You're no longer hostage to every random thought or external demand. You can sit in the middle of noise and still keep your mind anchored to what matters. And that's when you start seeing real results, not because life got easier, but because you stopped letting frenzy set the agenda. Your mind is like a spotlight. Whatever you aim it at will become brighter, bigger, and more detailed in your life. If you shine it on fear, fear grows. If you shine it on problems, problems grow. But if you shine it on your vision, your values, and your priorities, those things start to expand until they dominate your mental landscape. That's why the enemy of your progress isn't always failure. It's distraction. You can recover from failure, But distraction can quietly steal years from you without you even realizing it's happening. So every morning, before the day tries to claim you, decide what's getting your focus. Write it down, speak it out, commit to it. Then guard it like it's your lifeline, because it is. Most people look at obstacles like they're stop signs, signals that say, this is where you give up. They see a wall and assume the journey is over. But the truth is, every obstacle is a gym for your mind. It's a place where your thoughts are tested, stretched, and strengthened. The hard thing you're facing isn't just in your way. It's building something in you that you can't get any other way. When you walk into a real gym, you don't expect the weights to lift themselves. You know you're going to sweat. You're going to feel resistance. You're going to get uncomfortable. But you also know that's how growth works. Your mind operates the same way. Resistance is not there to defeat you. It's there to develop you. But if you only see obstacles as punishment, you'll never step into the strength they're trying to give you. Every challenge is an invitation to level up your thinking. When life throws something at you that you've never handled before, your old mindset won't be enough to carry you through. You'll have to think differently, see differently, believe differently. That's why some people crumble under pressure. They keep trying to solve new problems with old thinking. They keep trying to use yesterday's mindset for today's challenges, and it just won't work. Sometimes the very thing you think is breaking you is actually building you. You can't learn patience without waiting. You can't learn courage without facing fear. You can't learn resilience without getting knocked down and standing back up. We want the strength without the struggle, but the struggle is where the strength is born. If everything came easy, your mind would stay soft, untested, and unprepared for the weight of your calling. And here's the thing, obstacles reveal you to yourself. They show you the limits of your patience, the boundaries of your faith, the raw places where fear still has a grip. You don't really know how strong your mind is until it's been put under pressure. And when you see those weak spots, you have a choice. Either you avoid situations that expose them, or you face them head on and train until they're no longer weak. But let's be honest, most of us don't like training our minds. We want to skip the mental reps. We want the breakthrough without the breakdown. And when we can't get around the obstacle, we get frustrated thinking something's wrong. But nothing's wrong. You're just in the gym. And the discomfort you feel isn't a sign of failure. It's a sign you're getting stronger. Think about it. Every time you push through something hard, your mind collects proof that you can handle more than you thought. And that proof becomes confidence. So the next time an obstacle shows up, instead of crumbling, you remember, I've been here before. I know what it's like to push through. I know how to keep going. That's how mental mastery is built. One challenge, one victory, one rep at a time. The truth is, obstacles don't just prepare you for the next season of your life. They prepare you for the weight of your destiny. If you can't handle the small tests, how will you carry the big assignment? If you can't keep your thoughts steady in small storms, how will you stand when the waves get bigger? That's why the struggle you're in right now isn't wasted. It's training you for the thing you've been asking for. So instead of asking, why me, start asking, what is this building in me? Instead of saying, I can't take this, start saying, this is making me stronger. Your words will shift the way your mind sees the obstacle, and the way your mind sees it will determine how you move through it. Yes, it's hard. Yes, it's uncomfortable. Yes, it's stretching you in ways you didn't ask for. But you're not here to live a life without resistance. You're here to learn how to turn resistance into strength. Because every obstacle is a mental gym. And every rep you push through is shaping you into the person who can handle what's waiting on the other side. Mastering your mind is not a one-time victory you celebrate and then never think about again. It's not like you win the fight on a Monday and coast for the rest of your life. No, this is a battle that shows up every single day, sometimes before you even get out of bed. Some mornings you wake up ready, strong, clear, and unshakable. Other mornings you wake up to a storm in your head before your feet even touch the ground. The thoughts that tried to take you out yesterday might show up again today, wearing a different face, but carrying the same agenda to break your focus, steal your peace, and shrink your faith. That's why you can't treat this like a fight you win once. You've got to show up for it daily. And not just when you feel strong, especially when you don't, because your mind doesn't wait for your best days to challenge you. It will come for you in your lowest moments, when you're tired, when you're disappointed, when you're questioning yourself. Those are the moments when you have to decide again and again, I'm still in this. I'm still fighting for my mind. I'm still choosing my thoughts. Some people think strength means you never struggle. That's not true. Real strength is showing up for the fight, even when you're not sure you can win that day. It's deciding that you'd rather crawl through the battle than surrender without trying. It's knowing that every time you stand your ground against the storm in your head, you're building a kind of resilience you can't buy, you can't fake, and you can't borrow from anyone else. This fight is exhausting sometimes, but it's worth it, because every time you choose to fight again, you remind your mind who's in charge. You teach it that it can throw fear, doubt, and insecurity at you, but you're not going to let those things dictate how you live. You show yourself that you're not at the mercy of your mood or your circumstances. You're the one holding the wheel. And here's the truth: the fight will evolve. The thoughts that used to crush you may not even faze you anymore, but new ones will try to take their place. That's not failure, that's progress. It means you've leveled up, and now the challenges are matching the new version of you. That's why you can't let your guard down. Growth attracts new battles, and every new battle is a chance to prove to yourself that you're stronger than you've ever been. Some days the victory will be loud, you'll feel unstoppable, and you'll know you've crushed the thoughts that tried to control you. Other days the win will be quieter. You'll still feel the weight of those thoughts, but you'll keep moving anyway. And let me tell you, those quiet wins matter just as much, because mastering your mind is not about never hearing a negative thought again. It's about refusing to give it the final say. You have to decide in advance that no matter how many times the fight comes to your door, you're going to answer it. You're going to keep showing up. You're going to keep standing. Because this is not just about getting through a bad day. It's about building a lifetime of mental strength, one choice at a time. And you might think, I'm tired of fighting. I get it. But if you stop fighting for your mind, something else will take over. Fear will take over. Insecurity will take over. Doubt will take over. And once they've moved in, they will not leave on their own. You'll have to push them out. So you might as well keep pushing now. Because every day you show up for this fight, you're not just protecting your thoughts, you're protecting your future, your peace, your purpose. And the truth is, you've already survived fights you didn't think you could win. That's proof that you can handle this one too. So you wake up tomorrow and the day after that, and every day after, ready to face whatever tries to take your mind. You fight tired. You fight unsure. You fight with tears in your eyes if you have to. But you fight.